more consistent, and so far it definitely seems to be that way. So TIMO BOLL hasn't dropped a game yet in this tournament. In the opening round, he beat Park Jung-woo 4-0. After that, Gao Ning of Singapore, who had quite an impressive tournament, knocking out Jonathan Groth of Denmark. It was a 4-0 victory. I guess TIMO BOLL over Gao Ning is a pretty consistent bet.
When you look at the score sheet yesterday against Gao Ning, TIMO BOLL was impressive. The last 3 sets, he didn't pass. Gao Ning didn't pass 2 or 3 points.
Not, yeah, 11-2, 11-2, 11-2. Wow. So Kenta Matsudaira on the same side of the bracket, but on the other side in the mini bracket here. Opening round beat Zhang Wujin 4-1, and then Ruin Filus, the chopper from Germany. That was a 4-1 victory for Kenta Matsudaira as well. And you saw there TIMO BOLL staying right on top of the table. This is one thing that's kept him so competitive with the top players in the world and the Chinese. Look at this. Completely fools Matsudaira. Returned into the bottom of the net. And one thing I can say, TIMO BOLL generates a lot more spin than many players. Matsudaira seems to be comfortable here, getting on top of that ball to counter. Oh, a rip of a backhand just tucks the wrist, and this is off a net ball. Not an easy shot for Matsudaira.
TIMO BOLL can do whatever he wants with the ball. It looks so easy when you watch him play.
And this definitely comes with experience. I mean, having dominated the game in Europe until finally someone passed them by, Dmitry Ovtcharov. But really, I mean, just dominated the game for over a decade, it felt. Samsonov, on the other hand, a legend of the sport, still in it and playing quite well. Ooh, clever idea to change up the service and play it to the backhand. Unfortunate result for BOLL. He goes back to the reverse pendulum serve. Maybe he's keeping that heavy underspin pendulum as a surprise, keeping it in the pocket for when he needs it.
If something worse, you should play that and only use it when you need it.
Sorry, a little bit confused. Play it when it's working, but save it for when it's most important.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mention it yet. So you don't have to use all your skills and all your talents in one moment. So afterwards, you can use it when you really need it.
Got it. Good call, good call. Matsudaira here turning his back to the table after the first lob. That one just barely misses the edge.
Matsudaira's spin doesn't incommodate BOLL at all.
Sorry, I'm not sure. Tell me more about that.
The spin that Matsudaira is using is not making uncomfortable TIMO BOLL at all.
Got it. 5-7. Yeah, again, with experience, TIMO BOLL has seen a lot. I think it's priceless. You know, again, look how close to the table. This is well played. TIMO BOLL trying to step around. Left-handed players a lot of the time like to play that inside-out forehand. Left-handed players in racket sports, especially in table tennis, have an advantage. The opponents just aren't used to the angles, and the forehand is suddenly on the other side of the table.
5-8.
So a lot of left-handed players love the forehand or forehand dominant. But that being said, TIMO BOLL has an ITTF video of his best backhands. How many people can say that?
That's what makes the difference, and that's why he's TIMO BOLL. He's not just a regular left hand.
Also talking to the umpires about the fact that there are more service faults in this tournament than usual. Timo Boll was quickly acknowledged as having one of the cleanest serves in the game. He was the first name mentioned for clean serve.
9-6.
And it is tricky. We've seen a lot of service calls here, service faults. Players tend to get as close as possible to sort of breaking the rules without getting called.
7-9.
Nice change of pace from Matsudaira there. Takes a little bit off it, leaves it out in front of Timo Boll.
Sometimes it's relative if a service is correct or not. Depending on the point of view, it's kind of personal.
Back edge for Boll takes the game 11-8. What a way to do it.
You know, ever since you called it, I can't stop thinking about Matsudaira's new haircut. Now
Matsudaira's new haircut or Timo Boll's?
No, Timo Boll's also, but Matsudaira also. Last time I saw him, he had a different. Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, you're probably just have better eyes.
Since I saw it, so maybe a year ago or more.
Well, I call him the anime prince because his hair looks like it's animated. It's perfect. I mean, and Timo Boll, I think, with the fury Brad Pitt do right now. But Kenta Matsudaira has been so impressive. You know, he's had some ups and downs. I think for me, the first time I really was impressed with him was his match against Ma Lin. Ooh, the power there from Matsudaira I thought would have won the point for sure. Boll covering the middle deep in the backhand corner. Element of surprise deep to the backhand. We don't see that too much. I think the last time we even saw Timo Boll try to serve straight to the backhand from the pendulum, there was a service error.
See, he's saving his best shots.
Oh! I mean, Kenta Matsudaira, if I'm not mistaken, recovered a net ball for that backhand. And Timo Boll with another break there off the back edge. That's the replay of that edge, no question about it. A little bit of fortune for Timo Boll. Forced into a chop block, it's the spinny backhand. So, Yulia, you've watched the game. You've been playing for the national team for over a decade. I mean, you said 20 years or so you've been watching professionals now and closely involved. I want to ask you about that a little bit. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in the last 2 decades to players and their tactics?
As a game, you mean? The
yes.
Players. Well, I think now have been many improvements have been done with the receiving. I think before it was, I don't know. Before the men were more aggressive, and now they're trying not also aggressive, but changing a little bit the spin. I mean, the banana flip you called it the other day. That's I think one of the newest technique in table tennis can be.
2-5.
I forgot exactly who it was, but I think Peter Corbell was one who was on the early side of that shot. And then the Chinese adapted it quickly, and it became a regular practice. But it requires so much more core strength and footwork to get in for that short forehand, you know, side of the table to use your backhand. Let called, service warning? No?
I think that.
Interesting. Tough to tell. Sometimes when you hear a let called so early, it is a service warning. We'll find out.
6-3.
When that happens, normally the player gets nervous and he starts to miss the serve, or at least not give it so much spin.
Right, tenses up a little bit.
4-6.
Matsudaira doing an excellent job of forcing some uncomfortable shots out of Timo Boll. It's not the first time we've seen Boll trying to use the chop block on the backhand side. Patient shot.
7.
Wow, the Yosa. When's the last time you heard that from Timo Boll? Not too much vocalization from our German legend here.
He's very motivated this tournament. You can see him. He's in a good shape.
Whoa. Yeah, definitely fired up. I feel like he does have a lot to prove. Career-wise, obviously not. I mean, he's got a lot in his career. But as someone who's had some difficulties, lost some league matches here and there, and had some ups and downs, stepped outside of the top 10 in the world ranking, to take this title would be outstanding for TIMO.
We like this new TIMO BOLL attitude. No? For me, it improves. He already is one of the greatest players in the world. But I mean, this gives him another touch.
It's always nice to see people fighting. Oh, just misses the edge. I can't believe he reached the one before. This is one of the best reaches I've seen since the Quadriaruna point against Zhang Jike in 2014, that one point of the year. Right near the ground. Couldn't believe he was able to get it back up.
Very well positioned.
But yeah, the fight, the spirit, that fighting spirit in the players, it's always nice to see not only that sense of passion, but know that it means a lot to them. You know, we don't get to see TIMO BOLL on the World Tour quite as much in the last several years. He's been quite selective about where he plays. Actually, I mean, I'd have to look it up. It's tough for me to recall the last time I saw him play in Korea. It seems like quite a rare occasion. It could be in preparation for Dusseldorf. This is the last on the World Tour before the World Championships.
I think that may be the motive. You can see here the entire German team. Except Dimitrov Charov, of course, but they're here. I think it's like a last preparation before Dusseldorf.
Well, the German players have definitely had a strong showing, having 3 players in the final 8. Kyung, an assistant umpire, and that's from South Korea. Assistant umpire, Park Myung-suk. So these two play. Obviously not. I mean, he's got a lot in his career. But as someone who's had some difficulties, lost some league matches here and there, and had some ups and downs, stepped outside of the top 10 in the world ranking, to take this title would be outstanding for TIMO.
We like this new TIMO BOLL attitude, no? For me, it improves. He already is one of the greatest players in the world, but I mean, this gives him another touch.
Yeah, it's always nice to see people fighting. Oh, just misses the edge. I can't believe he reached the one before. This is one of the best reaches I've seen since the Quadriaruna point against Jang Ji-ke in 2014, that one point of the year. Right near the ground, couldn't believe he was able to get it back up.
Very well positioned.
But yeah, the fight, the spirit, that fighting spirit in the players, it's always nice to see not only that sense of passion, but know that it means a lot to them. You know, we don't get to see TIMO BOLL on the World Tour quite as much in the last several years. He's been quite selective about where he plays. Actually, I mean, I'd have to look it up. It's tough for me to recall the last time I saw him play in Korea. It seems like quite a rare occasion. It could be in preparation for Dusseldorf. This is the last on the World Tour before the World Championships.
I think that may be the motive. You can see here the entire German team. Except Dimitrov Ovcharov, of course, but they're here. I think it's like a last preparation before Dusseldorf.
Well, the German players have definitely had a strong showing, having 3 players in the final 8. Right in at the body, the pressure, forehand for Matsudaira saves 2 game points in a row. Third towel break of the game, and this is the score where TIMO BOLL took the game in game 1. There it is, 2 games in a row for TIMO BOLL, 11-8 and 11-8.
Talking about other changes in the techniques for new shots, I've been surprised to see in Qatar Open to watch Malong doing this chopped backhand block. It was, for me, was something new and something amazing, seeing him. Perhaps this is an antidote for the new ball.
That's interesting. I mean, so for me, Malong, yeah, I'm familiar with the chop block. For those of you who can't see the commentator's booth, which is everybody in the world, Yulia was just showing me what a chop block was. I'm a big fan.
I'm not sure you understood me, so that's why.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of that term and that show.
Wow. So that's how you should receive against his service.
I'm also surprised not to see more tomahawks from Matsudaira. That's one of his most signature serves, the tomahawk and the reverse tomahawk. But sometimes with signature serves, and this can be said for Dima as well, he's got some very notable, iconic serves, but the players are so familiar with them now that you just sometimes have to go back to what sets up your third ball the best. A little bit of vocalization there from TIMO BOLL. It's also interesting, Yulia. I mean, TIMO BOLL with the pendulum serve got the point early on in game 1, and he's gone to the reverse pendulum a lot more.
Matsudaira must have received it better, so for sure he's looking for a change now.
This is a beautiful shot if that comes down. Speaking of Malong, my favorite shots he's ever done was a shot just like that, played to the middle of the body, on the middle of the table. And he just sort of swiped down it with a forehand, leaving back and side spin on the ball. This is another smart play. When you've got a player that far off the table, instead of trying to hit for power, putting a little bit more topspin on the ball so that it drops out in front. See, it's a little shallower on the table. Matsudaira's timing is off. Just a little bit behind the ball.
Yeah, you would expect a powerful shot on high balls normally. So anything that stops in front of you will make you trouble.
It takes extreme confidence in your touch to brush over the ball more instead of hitting through it. But I can tell you, as someone who loves to play high balls, it is definitely difficult for the defender, the player away from the table, in that situation. Wow, so TIMO BOLL right now is on track to continue having not dropped a game in this tournament.
Halo guys, aku mau tanya nih, kalian pernah nggak sih ngelihat dua streamer yang pakai resolusi kualitas streaming yang sama, misalnya di 720p atau 1080p, tapi kalian ngelihat kualitasnya berbeda gitu. Misal nih, ada streamer A, dia pakai resolusi 720p, ada streamer B, dia juga pakai resolusi 720p, tapi hasilnya beda. Ada yang tahu nggak kira-kira kenapa?
We can expect him in the final.
A little bit of edge again here. 9 game points. And still a long road for TIMO BOLL. Even if he takes this match, this is just the quarterfinals for singles for men. So 1 game point saved. But just in case you're curious, if TIMO BOLL is to win this match, he's playing Maharu Yoshimura in the next round in the semi-final. Oh, has the opening, creates it. He's got Matsudaira chasing wide to the forehand. Again, talked about TIMO BOLL's timing. Look how close to the table he stays. That short stroke is able to cover the ball, but keep it on the table this time.
TIMO BOLL is playing quite close to the table and he's controlling it. So he only goes farther away when he's really obligated to.
Right. I guess that's a test for anybody at the table unless you have to. The closer you are, the more threatening you are, the less ground you have to cover. Oh, that's the inside-out forehand. He's got Matsudaira away from the table, and it's too much ground to cover.
And he's able to do it, you know. It's not only the the theory that you need to stay near the table. He's also able to stay there.
Right, yeah, knowing something and
Bilang
being
bang
able
aku
to
sama-sama
apply
pakai
it are two
720p
very
nih,
different things,
kok yang
especially under
orang
pressure.
itu sama-sama
I mean, some
720p
of the
dia lebih
greats
bagus
we've
dari
seen,
aku, atau
you know,
sebaliknya,
Michael Mays
atau ada
before
yang pakai
retiring
1080p
was working on staying
tapi lebih
closer and
bagus
attacking
hasil
more because
streamingnya.
as
Nah
solid
itu
as his
kenapa?
lobbing
Nah apa sih yang ngebuat kualitas
was,
videonya
just
jadi
at a certain
beda itu
level,
teman-teman?
it's too
Yang
tough to win
pertama
that way.
adalah
Stefan
bitrate
West,
dan
we're
beberapa
seeing
faktor
from
lainnya.
France get a
Ayo kita
lot
bahas
more
lebih
impressive
lanjut.
near the table. He's same reason.
Oke, jadi ini adalah contoh dari beberapa streamer di Twitch yang aku ambil dengan resolusi yang berbeda dan bitrate yang berbeda juga tentunya. Jadi ini adalah contoh di mana ketika kualitas gambar ketika kalian sedang tidak melakukan banyak pergerakan dan ketika banyak melakukan.
It's actually an understatement. That was one of the most impressive matches I've seen in ages.
I think also now because the rest of the world or the rest of the players, they're not so affected about the first balls, not catching so much spin on the ball on the first ball. So I think that's what makes the difference from the Chinese from the rest in the past.
And out here, it's definitely interesting. You and I have talked about how the new ball, the D40 Plus, is playing. And at this point in the tournament, I think anyone who's gotten this far is quite familiar with it. They've made their adjustments early in the rally. That was the biggest, I'd say, issue that players found, was that they had trouble adjusting to how short the ball stayed in the opening soft touch shots, the push shots. And that could be a big part of the reason TIMO BOLL is extra determined to stay close. Not just difference in age and, you know, experience, but also that if the ball stays a little bit shorter, TIMO BOLL seemed quite comfortable to return the fast long serves on the rare occasion that they come up.
it seems like everything is in his favor, or at least for now.
TIMO Bulls?
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, this is the first game right now that he seems to be in danger. It's still early. First towel break, but he's down 2-4.
No, I mean about the ball. About the ball and the game, the way of playing.
Wow, counter with the forehand after all those backhand blocks. I mean, this is a guy whose anticipation is so good. He knows just where to be in the right moment. And there, finally, he gets an opportunity with the forehand. That short stroke keeps the racket head up and just puts it back down the middle of the table.
Very nice play.
Did you care to elaborate a little more on what you were saying before with the control of the ball from TIMO Boll?
Yes, because we're talking about the bounce of the ball and that staying closer to the table, so everything is in favor of TIMO Boll's game.
Got it, got it.
In general.
That one almost comes down, the forehand flip. I think this is another part of the game that we're going to see more and more of. It's just so important, the short game and being aggressive in the short game. But with the forehand flip, a lot less comfort for people. They can't generate as much spin. That is a fancy rally. What's this? TIMO Boll, more emotional than I think I've seen.
He's emotional. He's emotional this match.
Yeah, he's been showing this ball. Not a lot of top spin on it, a whole lot of side. See a little venting and anger from TIMO Boll.
But that was a lot of quality in that ball.
The placement again, catching TIMO Boll. Well placed. TIMO with a little bit less power on that last shot, but keeps it wide to the backhand out in front of Matsudaira. So right now, this could be the very first game that TIMO Boll has lost in this entire tournament. Still a ways to go for Matsudaira, but a quite encouraging lead here. Kuka. Remember the robot TIMO Boll played? Nice sponsor there.
That was an interesting video.
Right, I think for there was a lot of hype and excitement, and then the table tennis players saw it and were like, oh, I thought he was really going to play a robot. Nice angular play, again, staying close to the table. Not only does your opponent have less time, but you have more angular, I'd say, control, right? You can play the ball wider.
Talk about backhand. Talk about TIMO Boll's backhand.
And now we've got a timeout on the side of Kenta Matsudaira. I think this is a wise timeout. I mean, it's starting to slip. The lead is starting to slip here.
It's either now or never. I mean, if he doesn't win this set, it's over for him. And yeah, the last point, TIMO Boll was able to win it. So now I think he really needs to change something. Either do a surprise or to play a safe. I don't know, it's always, for me, it's very interesting for the Asian coaches, especially. Always as a player, I was asking myself, what are they telling them when it's a very important moment in the match during a timeout?
Did you wonder that because Asians have dominated the sport, so they must have some secrets or something special?
Exactly.
Right. Well, it's interesting. I mean, Chojin Shin, they call him Q in Japan because it doesn't, Chinese names don't quite translate necessarily, is a service master. Well, look at this. 8-4, the last 3 points in a row to TIMO Boll. Change of pace from TIMO Boll, playing the softball out in front. And the timeout has been diffused.
And TIMO Boll is confident. He looks very confident. And he got more confidence after the timeout.
Again, while the timeout was called for the Japanese player, it's a timeout for both players until the Japanese player comes back to the table. How comfortable TIMO Boll looked until that final shot. That's just amazing. 2 shots here he's sent out to the forehand. That off balance still side topspin.
Talking about timeouts, I remember there was a time when I would never take a timeout. For example, if it's 10-10, 11-11, and the service was to the opponent. Because it was not only my timeout, but it was a strategy for the coach to use it.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, a lot of different habits from players. Was that the first broken ball we've seen? I don't know if a ball was lost, but it might be the first broken ball in some time. TIMO BOLL keeping it close, adding to the pressure in the room right now. Matsudaira at the 3rd towel break is 2 points away from saying bye-bye to the stadium. Bye-bye is universal, by the way. People say it all around the world. But not so fast. He's earned a game point. Remember, last game was 11-4 for TIMO BOLL. And now TIMO BOLL on the receive has a game point against him.
10-9.
Serve might look familiar to many of you. Maharu Yoshimura. That kicking shovel serve. Oh, 2 bounces. Look at this. A soft ball. TIMO BOLL saving the game point. No break for Kenta Matsudaira here after the net ball. And that last one stayed surprisingly short and low. So now it's TIMO BOLL with the serve. And now match point, his first match point of this whole match. Wow, patience. I'm seeing things from Matsudaira right now that would have helped him in many points throughout this game, but he's just shown some maturity out there to take it a little softer when the ball was out in front, set up the next ball.
In these moments, it's difficult to be patient and calm.
Right. That's unfortunate for Matsudaira. Ball sits up just a little bit, but it's out in front of him. See, by the time he takes it, he's trying to move himself forward. Another match point for TIMO BOLL. But not yet. Matsudaira with a big backhand. Now, one thing that can add to the score going so high, in this combination, Matsudaira is always going to be serving either with game point or against match point. And he's been using his serve well, winning the rallies here, setting up the 3rd ball. So 4th towel break of the game, both players right now settling in and focusing to try and shut this out. That is something that TIMO BOLL has consistently been better at in this match. When the ball's played softly out in front, from down low, he can spin it up low to the net. This is probably the most aggressive shot. Look how deep on the table it is when he hits that.
And he's looking also for the deep backhand corner. He's pushing there, Matsudaira.
And there it is, TIMO BOLL 14-12, and quite a fight in game number 4. But Matsudaira was not able to take a game. TIMO BOLL still flawless in his game record. 3 matches, not a single game dropped as he moves on to the semifinals. He will be playing Maharu Yoshimura, and Kenta Matsudaira has been knocked out of the tournament, but he's not the last of the Japanese players.
We have witnessed a TIMO BOLL masterclass, and for sure we're going to see more of him in the following matches.
That's right, you'll get to see at least one more match with TIMO BOLL. That'll be happening later today. We're going to have a short break, and we'll come back with more quarterfinal matches The next one coming up is going to be Zheng Jian of Singapore versus Miu Hirano, the most watched player on the planet after last week, a superstar in Japan, the Asian champion for the first time in 20 years that it's been a Japanese player.
Kiri